Welcome to the second broadcast on the Mindelo channel. Here we continue to explore fascinating and practical topics designed to help you grow and succeed. Today we're diving into a challenge many language learners face. I understand English, but can't speak. Here's why and how to solve it. We've looked at the research, expert advice, all that stuff to really figure out why this happens and, more importantly, how to fix it. We want to share effective strategies to boost your English-speaking confidence and fluency. So you might be listening right now, nodding along, thinking, yeah, that's totally me. You get English when you hear it, you read it fine, but then, bam, time to speak, and the words just like vanish. It feels like a real block, doesn't it? What's actually happening there, like in terms of how we learn languages? What causes this gap?
It's fascinating, really, because it often feels counterintuitive. But the research in language learning, it consistently shows that receptive skills, listening and reading, they just develop faster, typically much faster than the productive skills like speaking and writing. So it's incredibly common. You can understand almost everything, podcasts, shows, articles, whatever. But then when it's your turn, it's a struggle. You feel stuck trying to get the words out. And this gap, it's not like a sign you're failing. Experts actually say it's a really normal stage. But here's the thing, it can get worse if you only focus on input, on just listening and reading, without doing specific kinds of active output practice.
Well, it can get worse. That's a really key point. Yeah. So, okay, for someone feeling that frustration right now, what are the specific things, the factors contributing to this? Why doesn't understanding just naturally flow into speaking?
Yeah, there are several key reasons, and just knowing what they are is honestly the first step. First off, and probably the most common one, is simply a lack of speaking practice. Plain and simple, a lot of learners, and it's understandable, they focus hard on input, listening, reading, immersing themselves, but they just don't get enough real chances to actually speak English. So those speaking muscles, you could say, they stay underdeveloped.
Ah, okay, that's a great way to put it. Like only training your legs at the gym, right?
Yeah.
You get strong legs, but then you try running and your cardio or upper body isn't ready.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a perfect analogy. Then there's the big one, the fear of making mistakes. This holds so many people back. It can be paralyzing, really. You worry about your pronunciation, your grammar, just sounding silly or not perfect. And that anxiety, it stops you from even trying to speak, which ironically prevents the very practice you need to get better and make fewer mistakes. It's a vicious cycle.
Right, the fear itself becomes the obstacle.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I can see that.
Precisely. Another major thing is thinking in your native language. So when you want to say something in English, your brain first thinks it in, say, Spanish or French or whatever, and then you try to translate it word for word into English before you say it. That whole process, it just creates this huge delay. It slows everything down, makes conversations feel really awkward and unnatural. Your brain's working overtime.
I can just picture that little internal translator working frantically. Must be exhausting, trying to manage two languages at once like that in real time.
Oh, it absolutely is. And finally, there's the issue of having a limited vocabulary for active speaking. Now, that might sound weird because you just said you understand a lot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a well-documented difference between your passive vocabulary words you know when you see or hear them, and your active vocabulary, the words you can easily pull out and use yourself when you're talking. So you might understand a fancy word like ubiquitous in an article, but it's probably not right there on the tip of your tongue when you need it in a conversation. Your understanding vocabulary might be huge, but the one you can actually use actively might be smaller, leading to those frustrating pauses, searching for words.
Okay, that makes so much sense. It's not that you don't know it, it's just not available for instant use.
Right.
So, okay, if those are the whys, the reasons people get stuck, what about the hows? How can you actually start to bridge that gap? How do you go from just understanding to, speaking confidently?
Well, the solution really involves a conscious shift. You need to change your approach a bit. Experts point to several strategies, backed by evidence, that work really well together. The main idea, consistent effort. And shifting your focus from just passively taking stuff in to actively producing language yourself.
Okay, break it down for us. What are some concrete steps someone could take, like starting today?
All right. First, and this is like the absolute foundation, regular speaking practice, non-negotiable. You have to actively look for chances to speak every day if possible. Join language exchange groups online. There are tons. Find speaking clubs. The point is, you need consistent opportunities to actually use English out loud. That builds fluency, builds confidence. It won't just magically happen from listening more.
Right, putting yourself out there, basically. Even if it feels a bit awkward at first, makes sense. Build that muscle.
Exactly. Then there's a really powerful technique, we'll get into the details in a sec, called shadowing. Basically, you listen to a native speaker and you repeat what they say immediately after them. It's incredibly good for your pronunciation, your rhythm, making you sound more natural. And apparently you can see real results in like maybe 2 months of doing it regularly.
2 months. Wow. Okay, that definitely sounds interesting. I bet a lot of listeners haven't heard of that one. Eager to hear the specifics on how that works.
Yeah, we'll definitely unpack that. Beyond that, another key thing is consciously training yourself to think in English. You have to actively try to form your thoughts directly in English. Stop that translation step from your native language. It's a mental habit, takes time to build, but wow, it speeds up your responses like crazy, frees up so much mental energy.
So skip the middleman. Don't think, quiero decir X, translate X, then say it. Just think X in English right away. Huge time saver, I bet.
Massive. And look, especially when you're starting out, don't feel pressured to make really complex sentences. A practical tip: start simple. Use basic sentences, basic phrases. Gradually get more complex as you feel more comfortable and your active vocabulary grows. Simple, clear communication beats silence caused by trying to be perfect every time. Oh, and another really practical tip, but one people often skip: record yourself speaking and listen back. It helps you catch things you might not notice otherwise, maybe how you pronounce certain sounds, your intonation, where you hesitate. Plus, tracking your progress over time by listening back. Super motivating. You actually hear yourself getting better.
That's a great point. Can feel a bit cringy hearing your own voice maybe, but it's such a valuable tool for spotting issues and seeing improvement.
Totally worth it. And maybe the most important mindset shift is focus on communication, not perfection. Your main goal should be getting your meaning across, not having flawless grammar or pronunciation all the time. That shift helps lower the anxiety, which helps you just speak more. Imperfectly at first, maybe, but speaking. Perfection comes way later, with practice. Don't let fear of small mistakes shut you down.
Okay, you mentioned shadowing earlier, and you said it was really powerful. That sounds like the key thing people can actually start doing right away. For listeners who maybe aren't familiar, can you really break down what imitation and shadowing actually are, and why are they so good for closing this understanding speaking gap?
Absolutely. Let's get clear on the terms first. So, imitation is pretty straightforward. You listen to a native speaker, and you repeat exactly what they say. You're trying to copy everything: their pronunciation, the rise and fall of their voice, intonation, the rhythm, even where they pause. Think of it like being a really focused parrot, analyzing every detail. Shadowing is like the next level up. It's more advanced. Here, you speak almost at the same time as the speaker, just a tiny bit behind, maybe a second or two. Like you're their shadow. Verbally, you're trying to match their speed and flow in real time.
Okay, that makes sense. Imitation is like a delayed echo, very precise. Shadowing is almost right on top of them. But how do you actually do that without it just becoming a mess? What's the best way, the most effective process, to actually practice imitation and shadowing?
Good question. Yeah, you need a bit of structure to really get the benefits. Step 1, choose good audio material. Find podcasts, TED Talks, maybe YouTube videos with clear native speakers. Ideally, find stuff that also has a transcript that's super helpful. And importantly, pick speakers you actually like listening to, whose accent or voice you want to sound like. Makes practice way less of a chore, you know? Once you've got your clip, step 2, get familiar with it. Don't just jump into repeating. Listen to the whole segment first, maybe just a few minutes. Understand the main idea, the flow. If there's a transcript, read along while you listen. That really helps connect the sounds you hear with the words on the page.
Right, so understand first, mimic later. Makes sense.
Exactly. Then, step 3. Start with imitation. Focus on short bits, maybe 30 seconds at a time. And aim for precision. Copy everything. The pauses. Which words they emphasize, that's word stress, like REC chord versus war chord.
Yeah.
And also how they stress words in a phrase for rhythm, that's phrase stress. Like, I want the blue one, not I want the blue one. And of course, the overall up and down melody, the intonation.
Just to make sure I'm getting it, stress means like louder or higher pitch or longer syllable.
Yeah, exactly. It's about emphasis. Like, import versus import. Different stress, different meaning, or part of speech. And for phrase stress, it's about which words carry the core meaning in the sentence. A really key tip here is try to speak in meaningful chunks, groups of words, not just word by word. Native speakers link words together naturally. That's how you get that smooth rhythm.
Speaking in chunks, okay, I can immediately hear how that would make someone sound way more natural than just like reading words off a list.
Huge difference. Okay, so once you're feeling pretty good with that careful imitation, step 4, progress to shadowing. Now you try speaking almost with the speaker, keeping their speed, their intonation. And this immediate repetition, it does a couple of really cool things. First, it physically trains your mouth muscles to make the sounds more automatically, like reflexes. And second, research suggests it actually helps build new pathways in your brain to reduce that mental translation habit we talked about. You're forcing yourself to think and produce directly in English.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's more than just sounding like them. It's actually like physical training for your mouth and rewiring your brain's processing a bit. That's deep.
It really is. Then, as you get better, step 5, practice without the transcript. Once you know the material pretty well, try shadowing just by listening. No reading aloud. This really pushes your listening skills because you have to rely only on your ears, and it boosts your ability to speak spontaneously without visual cues.
Okay, that sounds like the real test, a sign you're really getting it.
It definitely is. And the final step, step 6, always, always. Record yourself and compare. This is huge for improvement. Record your shadowing, then listen back. Compare it to the original speaker. You'll clearly hear where you differ, pronunciation, rhythm, whatever. It helps you target what to work on. And it's also amazing for seeing how far you've come over time. Super motivating. And remember, this isn't a magic trick you do once. The last crucial bit is repeat consistently, regular practice. Weeks, months. Experts often say even just 10-15 minutes a day of consistent shadowing can make a really noticeable difference in your accent, your rhythm, how natural you sound, in maybe about 2 months. It's about building that language muscle memory.
That is such a clear, actionable plan. And 2 months for real improvement with just 10-15 minutes a day, that sounds incredibly achievable, very motivating. So summing it up for our listener, what are the big takeaways, the real concrete benefits they can expect if they actually put in this kind of consistent effort, especially with the imitation and shadowing?
The benefits really stack up. First, and probably the most obvious one you'll notice, is it improves your rhythm, stress, and intonation. That's what makes you sound less like you're reading and more natural, more like a native speaker, more conversational.
Like getting that music of English, not just the words, the flow.
Exactly, the melody. It also really trains your ear to pick up on connected speech. You know how native speakers often blend words together, like, what you gonna do? Shadowing helps your ear get used to that so you understand fast, natural speech better. And crucially, it builds fluency by cutting down that delay between hearing something and being able to respond or produce sounds yourself. That mental bottleneck shrinks. You become quicker, more spontaneous in conversation. And finally, it genuinely helps you adopt native-like pronunciation patterns. You're actively retraining your mouth to make English sounds more accurately, breaking old habits from your first language.
Those are some seriously compelling reasons to try it. Sounding more natural, understanding better, speaking faster, pronouncing better. Wow. Any last quick tips, maybe common mistakes to avoid or things to keep in mind as people start this?
Yeah, just a couple final thoughts. When you're shadowing, really try to focus on the stressed words and the way sentences end. That intonation carries so much meaning and emotion in English. Nailing those patterns makes a big difference. Also, worth saying again, don't aim for perfection. Seriously, the goal is communication, getting your message across naturally. Let go of needing every single sound to be perfect. That freedom helps you practice more. And lastly, try to use a variety of speakers and topics. Don't just shadow one person forever. Hearing different accents, speeds, and vocabulary makes your own English more flexible and ready for the real world.
Okay, great advice. So we've really dug into why you might understand English perfectly, but get stuck when you try to speak, covering things like not enough practice, the fear factor, thinking in your native tongue. And we've laid out some really practical, evidence-based ways to bridge that gap, especially focusing on imitation and shadowing, highlighting that just 10-15 minutes a day could really transform things in a couple of months.
Which really leads to a key question for you, the listener, doesn't it? If you know that consistent, focused practice, even that small amount daily using techniques like shadowing, can significantly boost your speaking confidence and fluency, what's the one small, concrete step you're going to take today to actually start making that change?
Thank you. If you found this video helpful, please like it to show your support. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts or questions. We love hearing from you, and it helps us create better content for you. And make sure to subscribe to our channel, Mindelo, so you never miss a broadcast full of useful tips and interesting discussions. Your support means a lot and helps our community grow. See you next time.